Shalom, Shalom. Shmuel Rofeisen, born in 1922 in Poland. He was a young boy who was a member of the Bnei Akiva organization. During the Holocaust, he was able to save himself because he got documents that indicates that he is a German Christian. He worked at the Gestapo of the town, and using his title, he was able to save lots of Jewish people and also transfer a lot of weapon into the ghetto. On one of the days, he found out that the Nazis are about to arrest 300 young people and kill them. Very quickly, he sent a message to the ghetto and was able to tell them to run away and hide in the woods. A few days later, unfortunately, a Jewish guy told on him to the Gestapo, and Shmuel Rofeisen did not have a choice but to hide. He ran away to a church and he hid there for a few years. Later on, unfortunately, he became Christian and named himself as Brother Daniel. In 1957, many Jewish people started to make Aliyah to Eretz Israel. Shmuel Rofeisen also asked to be a Jew, asked to come to Eretz Israel. In 1968, after he came to Eretz Israel, he wanted to be a citizen in Eretz Israel. So his question was brought to court, and in court, they didn't know. Based on the rule from 1950, there is a right to every Jew that wants to settle down in Eretz Israel to do it. So every Jew can come to Eretz Israel and get citizenship in Eretz Israel. But here is a question. Is he a Jew? He didn't look like a Jew. He didn't believe in everything that the Jewish people believe. So is he a Jew? The case was brought to the Supreme Court in Eretz Israel. And the Supreme Court had a long discussion of who is a Jew and if Shmuel Rofeisen can he be considered a Jew? And in 1962, the Supreme Court made a decision 4-1 that Shmuel Rofeisen is not Jewish and therefore cannot get the citizenship. That is a bit hard because every rabbi that will hear about it will rule that of course Shmuel Rofeisen is still a Jew. And Shmuel Rofeisen should have the right to settle down in Eretz Israel. But that is because of our Parshat Shoftim. Parashat Shoftim is very unique because it comes and explains the Jewish justice system. Our Jewish justice system is different than other justice system in the world. It has a line of mitzvot and chukim that are very unique to the Jewish justice system. The parsha starts with the words, Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha bechol she'arecha. That brings us back to the first time when we see the Jewish justice system and how it's been created. In Parashat Shemot, the father-in-law of Moshe sees how Moshe is too busy from the morning to the night, judging different cases that comes from Am Israel. So he says to him, Lo tov hadavar hazeh. Lo tov hadavar asher ata oseh. It's not okay. It's not good. It's not productive. You have to be more productive. How? He says, ואתה תחזה מכל העם אנשי חיל, יראי השם, אנשי אמת, שונאי בצע, ושמת עליהם שרי אלפים, שרי מאות, שרי 50 ושרי עשרות. Rashi says, ואתה תחזה, you have to use Ruach HaKodesh to recognize people that will be Anshei Chai, Yirei Hashem, Anshei Emet, Sonei Beitza. In order to find the right judges, you have to use Ruach HaKodesh. And those people will help you to judge all Am Israel. And when that paragraph ends, it ends with the words of why do we need to do it? And it says in the pasuk, well, I'll tell you why you need to do it. The pasuk ends with the words, וגם כל העם הזה על מקומו יבוא בשלום. You want to know what is the foundation of the Jewish justice system? It's shalom. The whole Jewish justice system comes to create and to keep shalom, not only between Am Israel or in Eretz Israel, but the world peace. And Rabenu Bחיי gives introduction for every single parsha in the whole Torah. And in his introduction for Parshat Shoftim, he says, we have a lot of examples. How do we know that shalom is the foundation for the Jewish justice system and to the whole Torah and for the whole world? He says, well, example number 1, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his name is Shalom. We know it from Sefer Shoftim. ועקרה לו השם שלום. 2, every Shabbat we go to shul. After Kriyat Torah, we all sing together. דרכיה, דרכי נועם, כל נתיבותיה שלום. Meaning that even the Torah that was given to us, it's כל נתיבותיה שלום. The whole thing is to create shalom. Next, 3, davening. We daven, if we're lucky, 3 times a day, Shabbat 4 times a day, Yom Kippur 5 times, and we say the same words, the same exact words. המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. And last, רבנו בחיי says, well, even if when you die, you need to do it in peace. Even בשעת המוות צריך שלום. How do we know that? From חומש בראשית. When הקדוש ברוך הוא comes to אברהם אבינו and tells him, אתה תבוא אל אבותיך בשלום, תקבר בשיבה טובה. Why is that? Why do we need all those examples for shalom? Well, מסכת אבות says, דרשו רבותינו על 3 דברים העולם עומד, על הדין ועל האמת ועל השלום. And רבנו בחיי comes to conclusion. If we want a peace in the whole world, we have to make judges. We have to decide who will be the judges that will able to judge in order to create and to keep peace. But here is a problem. This is a beautiful introduction, what Rabenu Bחיי is saying before Parshat Shoftim. But the only problem is that the word shalom as a foundation to the Jewish justice system doesn't exist. What exists is tzedek. It says, the first pasuk in Parashat Shoftim, שופטים ושוטרים תיתן לך בכל שעריך, אשר השם אלוהיך נותן לך לשבטיך, ושפטו את העולם משפט צדק. הספורנו brings מסכת כתובות and explain what does it mean משפט צדק. And he says, well, משפט צדק, that the judge will be careful not to be soft with the one side and hard with the other. But Rabenu Bחיי goes back to the same place. And he says, no, tzedek also means shalom. What do you mean? He says, מלמד שהיו עושים צדקה עם שניהם. עם הזכאי שהוא נוטל את שלו, ועם החייב שמוציאים גזלה מתחת ידו. And as a Hebrew teacher, I was amazed that Rabenu Bחיי said, wait, the shorish of the word tzedek and the shorish of the word tzedakah is the same one. Tzadi, Dalek, Kuf. And Rabenu Bחיי gives an example. If there was a case of gezel, of gneva, someone stole something very precious from someone else, and they're coming in front of the judge, and the judge needs to decide who is it belong to. Well, Rabenu Bחיי says, well, first of all, the first thing the judge has to rule is who exactly does it belong to. משפט צדק שיהיה המשפט נחתך. וכן כתוב, בצדק תשפוט עמיתך. Rabenu Bחיי says, well, the first thing we need to do in order to get shalom and to do justice is we have to cut. נחתך, המשפט נחתך. לחתוך to cut. We have to decide either this one is right or the other one is right. Sometimes we have judges that wants to do some kind of a שלום bite. So they decide, well, let's figure it out. Maybe you can both be a winners. No, this is not the Jewish justice system. שיהיה המשפט נחתך. We have to make a decision. Either this one or that one. They cannot both be right. I know that sometimes as mothers we want to do שלום bite. So he says, well, maybe you can share. That's not the Jewish justice system. And then Rabenu Bחיי says, when you do that justice, you actually do tzedakah. How do you do tzedakah? Tzedakah is a verb that comes to say to give. When we give tzedakah, we give someone something that he's lacking. We don't take. Here, we have a situation where we have to take the gzela. Whatever was stolen, we have to take it from the stealer and give it to the true owner. So how do we do tzedakah? Omer Rabenu Bחיי something amazing. When you take that gzela, when you take that thing that was stolen, you give to the stealer something else. You give him עולם הבא. How do we know? רבנו בחיי says, גדול כוח המשפט, שבזמן המשפט נעשה בארץ, אין הקדוש ברוך הוא יושב עמם בדין. Meaning, רבנו בחיי comes to say, when we have משפט צדק here, when we have the true justice happening here on earth, here, ממש, בארץ, אין הקדוש ברוך הוא יושב עמם בדין. הקדוש ברוך הוא has a specialty. He is the greatest judge we can find in the whole world. And this is his specialty. But when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that we have the justice system works here on earth, ba'aretz, then he's not part of the judges. So what HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Bedan otam bemidat harachamim. That's the job of HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he see that the Jewish justice system works here. And how do we know that the Jewish justice system works? Well, Rabenu Bחיי says that is when we see rain. Every time that we see gishme bracha, when we see the rain, we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not upset, meaning ובחוקותם תלכו, we do everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu do, and then we have the rain. If we have the rain, we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't sit with the rest of the judges here, but what he does, dan otanu bemidat harachamim. There is a beautiful story back from 2012 that I feel that story really represents what is the Jewish justice system is all about. In August 30th, 2012, a young Rebbe in Modi'in Elite was asked to give a ride to a 4-year-old Chaim Boyman. It wasn't something special because sometimes for extra money, this young Rebbe used to drive kids back home. He was 22 years old, so that was something that happened almost every day. Unfortunately, that was a very hot day. Chaim Boyman fell asleep in the car, and by the time the young Rebbe arrived home, he forgot about Chaim Boyman. Only later the day, when the young Rebbe came back to the car, he found out that Chaim, unfortunately, passed away. He was heartbroken. He knew how to do CPR and he tried, but by the time that Magen David Adom came to the scene, there was nothing to do. The young Rebbe was arrested and was brought in front of the judge. For months, the court tried to decide what to rule. And in one point, there was a fear that it will give them the maximum that the law can give as a punishment, which is 3 years in jail. The young Rebbe was heartbroken. He couldn't say anything. He couldn't do anything. And towards the end of the discussions, the Saba, the grandfather of Chaim Boimel, came to court, stood up in front of the judge, and asked the judge to speak up. The grandfather held Masechet Sanhedrin in his hand. The judge asked him first, do you want to speak in favor of your grandson? And the Saba says, no, I actually want to speak up for the favor of the young Rebbe. Everybody was shocked. The lawyers were shocked. And the Saba opened up the Talmud Yerushalmi and read in a very Yiddish accent a sugya, a question about what happens when we take meat and we cut it. And the right hand, we have the knife, and the left hand is holding the piece of meat, and the person wants to cut it. And by mistake, the right hand using the knife cut the left hand. What do? Do we punish the right hand for doing it? And the Gemara answers, of course not. We don't cut the right hand, because it hurts the left hand, because both hands are attached to the same body. Then the Saba closed his book, and he says to the judge, well, our Jewish justice system is different. Our Jewish justice system believes that both hands belong to the same body, exactly as this young Rebbe, and we are on the same side. The Saba hoped that his words will bring, first of all, some comfort to the young Rebbe, but also he wanted to help him. There is no reason to destroy the young Rebbe's life, who was only 22 years old, married with kids. Baruch Hashem, that the judge ruled that he will not go to jail. He got a different punishment, but the end of the story is that until today, the Saba and the young Rebbe, they worked and they funded an organization to remind people and families, especially between the more frum communities in Eretz Israel, not to forget kids in the car. And I feel that story not only brings up the question that we go back and who is a Jew? In the beginning of my Dvar Torah today says, who is a Jew? This is a Jew. This is a Jew. To be a grandfather, that knowing that someone by mistake forgot your grandson in the car and he passed away, but at the same time you come into court and you know, wait, we are on the same side here. And that is the foundation of the Jewish justice system. דרכיה, דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. שבת שלום.